comes.
Welcome everybody to another episode of the Evil Ewok podcast. Tonight we're going to be talking about all kinds of things.
Luna.
We're going to be talking about Avatar: The Last Airbender, House of the Dragon, etc., etc., and then we'll touch on a lot of Star Wars news because there is a lot of Star Wars news. All right, guys, how are we doing tonight?
Ready to rock. Also, welcome to our new backdrop, courtesy of Alex. I did nothing to contribute to it, but it just looks nice.
If you guys look closely, it moves.
You can see the water moving.
You can see the water just turbulently moving to the right.
And if that's not worth a God, my dog, if she could just pipe down. If that's not worth a subscription, I don't know what is. Subscribe for water.
If you guys aren't subbing and liking, what are you doing with your lives at the end of the day? We're gonna manipulate you all to just be loyal subscribers and everything. But anyway, Kat's got her glasses on. She means business. Shit's getting real. Lots of Star Wars news at the second half of this. We're gonna probably try to wrap up all the TV shows in about 15 minutes. We're gonna see how we do, and then get into all the news. But to start us off, I will go through chat really quick. Oh, we got Serena.
There's Gungans in that water.
What up, Tommy boy? 2 years, 7 months, and 3 days. How many minutes though, Charlie? That's the real question. How many minutes? How many minutes? That's the real question. But thanks for your support, man, as always. 31 months. I think you're number one. You might be in first place. I think one of the OGs.
True OG.
Charlie's the one that knows like all the lore, all the backstory.
He's seen us when we were kids.
Back when we had like all these guests on and we were serious. Yeah. And we didn't take like 6-month breaks.
Yeah. Hey, we've been pretty
Stanley's. We're getting there. It's every other week now.
It's a new year. Fresh slate.
What up, Dan the man? What up, Liz? What up? My boy Nick. What up? Alrighty. So we shall jump into it. Let me share the most anticipated according to IMDb, which as I was going through this list, I noticed they didn't have The Boys, so we will just assume it's on there. I don't know why it's not on there.
Is that the third season of The Boys?
It's the final season. I think it's the 4th season.
Oh my God. I've actually not watched any of that show. I probably should. But I didn't know.
I mean, I don't know. I want to say you like violent stuff. You watched Vikings. I think you'll like it.
I do. I love John Wick. I love Vikings. So
I feel like I feel like violence is like your like guilty pleasure. Like you act like you hate it, but really you're like there watching Vikings for like 7 hours in a row. Like, oh my God, is he gonna open up his heart? It's like, oh, take it out. Yeah.
True. The Blood Eagle. I've just gone numb. Nothing can faze me anymore after that.
The cat's out of the bag. Alrighty. So we got apparently number one on here is Daredevil Born Again. Are you guys familiar?
I mean, I know what it is. I'm surprised because it's kind of a soft reboot of the original Daredevil show, which is so beloved from Netflix. Disney's trying their hand at it, and I've heard a lot of skepticism about it, so I'm surprised that it's number one.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not a Marvel fan, really. So I guess this is Kat. Are you a Daredevil fan?
I've not watched. Is he part of Deadpool? What is he part of?
Okay.
So like this is
I guess as the only person on the panel who's seen the show, Daredevil is a blind superhero. He's not strictly super powered, like he's a normal dude, but he's honed his other senses so greatly that it like makes him superhuman in that sense. Like he's an insane martial artist. And the Netflix show was very dark and gritty. It was nothing like your typical Marvel stuff, and it was like that's part of the reason why it was so beloved. Like everybody loved it. Everybody loved Kingpin, the villain. who they also brought back into the MCU now. Same actor. He's brilliant. And so everybody really loved the Netflix iteration. And in bringing these characters back to the MCU, they've it's kind of like a soft reboot. I know that they hinted, and I haven't watched it, but the latest Echo.
I just watched the first episode.
Okay, yeah. So they've hinted, I guess, I saw a trailer that heavily implied that it was just a continuation of the Netflix show, but people are worried because the tone of the MCU is obviously very different from those shows, like Daredevil and then The Punisher and Jessica Jones, like all those the Netflix MCU, if you will, just very tonally. So people want these heroes done well. They want it like that. They don't want it to be like MCU-ified.
Oh, interesting.
I found the tone of the first episode to be weird, and like the pacing was all over the place. I don't know if that's just how Marvel movies are now. Like they just kind of do a lot of flashbacks and move back and forth a lot. But I want to see what you think. But I was like, after the first episode, I'm like, I feel like it kind of went everywhere it needed to, and I don't really care anymore. But I'm curious to see what you think, Zach, if you ever watch it.
Yeah, I'll probably get around to it. I just don't. The Marvel shows outside of maybe Loki have really disappointed me. Secret Invasion was terrible. That was one of the worst shows I've ever seen.
I know. And Samuel L. Jackson's 76 years old too, or 75, right?
I know, dude. It's crazy.
And he's still going strong. Okay, well, anyway, so that answers that question. Avatar. Now I know Zach, especially Zach, is very skeptical about the show and is, I don't even know if you're cautiously optimistic. You're probably just like, I'll watch it at some point. But at least for me, based off of everything that I've been seeing, right? And it's not like just visually. Like we're talking like I've been seeing like behind the scenes of like what they're doing for each element, respecting the martial arts that were used by the original creators. So like I feel like there is some effort being drawn into making sure that the characters and the martial arts and everything that we've grown to know and love from the show is replicated to the furthest extent that it can in the live action version. So far, right? That's just what I'm saying from what I've seen. And granted, sure, promo stuff is always going to show the glitz and glam and none of the terrible stuff. But from what I've seen so far, I'm actually kind of excited about it. And I hope that it turns out much better than everyone I think is expecting.
Yeah, I think we all are still cautiously approaching due to the very early news that the original creators parted ways with the Netflix production very early on in development. So I think we're all still a little haunted by that. And obviously that doesn't imply that it's going to be a bomb, a flop, just because the original creators aren't involved. But I know that still kind of is permeating in the back of my brain a little bit, but everything that we have seen, I do agree, Alex. It was like the best possible first impression with the initial teaser I think that they could have had. Granted, like you said, they're gonna withhold anything that would weaken public opinion or lose interest prematurely, but I want it to do well. The last thing that I want is for the show to go badly, because yes, we will always have the original series no matter what, which is reassuring, but at the same time, it's like don't touch something if it's already perfect, if you're not going to keep it on that level. So I just have expectation, but I'm feeling optimistic, and it's not like I want it to fail. I want it to do well and succeed, because God forbid, at the rate shows get canceled now these days, it's like, Netflix has no problem canceling things before the full story has come to fruition. So like my hope would be that they get to complete the entirety of the series, and achieve the full story that the original show did. So that's why I want it to be good, but definitely approaching cautiously optimistic, but hopeful.
Yeah, I want to preface this with the same kind of sentiment. Like, I don't want it to fail. I want it to be good. I think that would be awesome. But I'm not cautiously optimistic. I would say I'm I don't even know what the phrase would be. Like, I'm
Blatantly
not.
disturbed.
Cautiously pessimistic.
I'm cautiously
violently
pessimistic.
violently pessimistic.
Yeah, I'm getting ready to harass the actors as we speak. I'm getting all my tweets ready. No, but I think that it looks great visually. Like, I look at these stills that you're putting on screen, and they look really high quality. They look like there was a lot of money and care put behind this. I do worry that it looks a little too serious and dramatic, and I think the tone of Avatar: The Last Airbender, this series, the animated series, it could be like serious and heavy at times, but for the most part it was kind of light, and there's like this wistful, like I don't know, like youth to it that you just kind of would get wrapped up in, and the characters didn't take things too seriously until they had to. I don't know, it just, like, it felt a lot different than these stills kind of should tell me that the show's going to be. And I would point to another Netflix show that I think made the leap from animation to live action pretty well and kept the tone pretty solid, and that would be One Piece. I haven't seen the One Piece like anime at all because
yeah. Oh, you watched it?
No, I've seen the live action. Yeah, I haven't seen the One Piece anime because I notoriously don't like anime, as anybody who's watched this podcast can tell you. But I think that the live action, from what I could tell and from what I heard from fans, did a phenomenal job adapting the visuals and the tone and just the spirit of the original show to live action. And I think what worries me is that these stills, I mean, they're just stills. Like, I could be completely wrong, but these stills look very, very dramatic and dark to me. Like, I don't know if that's Avatar.
You're talking like tonally dark, like vibe, mood.
Yeah,
and
the
not
mood.
just-
We're talking black
not just
screen.
visually.
Yeah, this is like Sin City, and I don't like. No.
But you make a really good point. That is a common sore spot these days. Everything is so desaturated in live action nowadays. Kenobi was, notoriously very not visible at some points. Like, and this is plaguing a lot of live action adaptations. I feel like just TV in general now, the brightness is just negative. So you saying, yes, I know you're saying that it looks tonally dark mood wise, but that's also, you just unlocked a new fear for me. Like, you're so right. The animation is so rich and vibrant and beautiful. And it's like, oh, I hope that doesn't get sacrificed because everything in freaking live action is like -2 brightness anymore.
I think the perfect example is, like, look at that shot of Iroh. Like, the Iroh from the show, like, he looks pissed off right there. He looks like really mad and like ready to lay down some.
There were times where he was pretty pissed.
But in season 1, though, not really. He was kind of just like resting Iroh, like this wise, old, like calm dude.
Stoic.
Yeah, exactly.
Like in the worst times, he was always like making jokes or
right. And
puns. Yeah,
they had him get mad at very, very opportune times that really showed what situation they were in. Like, when the character who's never mad, who's always calm, like, loses his shit, that's when like things are serious. And this shot is like the first we've seen of Iroh. He's already looking like pissed. And then whenever we've seen Sokka in these stills and in the trailer, he seems very serious as well. And that is not Sokka at all. Sokka is the clown of the group. And I don't know, man. I hope that I really hope it's good.
I do like casting for Ozai though.
He looks great.
Yeah, he looks incredible.
Incredible.
One thing to note, that's probably for like pro your point, Zach, is we still haven't gotten a trailer, right, with any like spoken dialogue. It's all just been nostalgia bait, and then maybe Roku. I think that's Roku talking to Aang, right? And it's like it's just very ethereal voiceover into just a bunch of shots scattered, right? No real kind of story, no real direction showing where they're going with it. But the bending looks cool, right? It's just a matter on like tonally, like you said, Zach. Yeah, is it gonna be a mix? Is it gonna be totally dark, or is it gonna actually follow with what the show basically was, which was a kids show on Nickelodeon, right? And I think maybe there is an argument to be had where maybe it shouldn't follow that. Maybe it shouldn't follow the humor completely. It should maybe have like a mix in there because maybe they need to maybe market to the kids who grew up and are now into Game of Thrones. Maybe they're thinking, if we're going to jump this much throw this much money into it, maybe we need to have it tonally and visually replicate the Game of Thrones formula just in this universe. And I'm thinking, if they are dropping so much money for just a kids show, right, I think that's probably not the best option, not the best choice. So for me, I would like a mix. I'd like, you know, some lighthearted humor, but the dark underbelly, dark overtones of the universes they're in. You know, it's a universe in war. I wouldn't be totally against that, honestly. I would like to see a more visceral, dark tone, but as long as like they keep the nature of the characters in some way, shape, or form. But I feel like live action is a medium where it's not as easy to showcase over the top humor like animation was, which is why I find One Piece that you mentioned earlier, like it was incredible, right? And I've never seen the anime. I've never even but after me and Amanda saw it, we tried to turn it on and we couldn't watch it. So it's a prime example of how they adapted it to probably a broader audience that normally wouldn't be watching the anime, but the story there has heart for a different audience as well. So they marketed it, they showed it, they did a couple things different than what the over-the-top animation style truly is to hopefully be successful. So I guess it only remains to be seen, but they have great material to work with and great material to adapt. So I can't imagine them. Yeah.
Truly.
If you look at IMDb, it's actually like top 5 or top 10 shows of all time. I didn't even know
As
that.
it should be. As it should be.
For a
literally.
kid show.
For a Nickelodeon kids show, it was unleashed. It was on another level. Like it's just, that's why it's just like so hard to try to. I get so afraid to ask people like, "Oh, have you seen Avatar?" Because it's so much more than just like it's on Nickelodeon. It was out when we were 8 years old. It was so much more than that. Like I didn't know at the time, but that was going to be like peak television, and I was only 9, and it's still some of like the best TV of my whole life. So it belongs in the top 10, top 5.
And like I'm also, I don't know. I have this thing, like, as I've gotten older, right? Like, as everyone does, I think, when you're younger and you see someone older than you, you think they're so much older than you, right? Or if you see like kid characters in TV shows, like you think they're your age or it's normal, right? And then when you get older, you're like, wow, everything looks so young. But in animation, they don't. They still look very old, right? They still look like they're like, except for Aang, everyone looks much older, right? Like, and they're 18, 19, even 20, right? So for me to realize, oh, there are like a bunch of 12, 13-year-old kids, it's going to be very tough for me to compartmentalize that in live action. Like, oh yeah, Azula was 13 years old when she did all of this shit, right? So
that's so true.
All right, what do we have next on the list?
Alrighty.
The Penguin, I think, which I keep forgetting. It keeps falling to the back burner of my brain, but it's actually probably going to be flipping incredible. Or forgive me, is the Penguin next? Yes.
Yes, we got the Penguin. Following the events of Batman, Oswald Cobblepot, aka the Penguin, makes a play to grab the reins of the crime world in Gotham, which I didn't even know was a thing until when I started making the lists last week for both of these. And I was like,
serious?
oh, that's a thing? I didn't even know it was a thing.
They announced it pretty freshly after the Batman came out, I think. Maybe even before the Batman came out.
Maybe I just forgot.
But yeah, it definitely, there's yet to be like major marketing for it, I feel like. So I'm excited to see initial trailers and stuff.
I think it's going to be good. Is it the same creative team that was behind the Batman? Does anybody know?
I don't know.
Good question. I know it's HBO, so that's
what's that director's name?
Oh god, Matt something.
Reeves?
Matt Reeves. Yeah, that sounds right. He's got to at least be producing, I would assume.
I don't have IMDb Pro.
I do. Let me check.
Cat coming through in the clutch.
Craig Zobel.
I don't know who that is.
That sounds familiar. Is the show literally just called The Penguin?
He did The Hunt. I'm assuming that's what. Yeah, The Hunt, Compliance, Z for Zachariah, and Great World of Sound. Oh, and he was a director for Westworld.
Westworld.
Oh, that's probably why it sounds familiar. Throwback.
Oh, like you were seeing it on the intro over and over again.
Yeah. For everything that I disliked about the way that show went, that intro will live on forever.
That first season was legendary.
It was
It was.
brain blast. Matt Reeves
then we
is
got-
executive producing, so
Oh, he's an executive producer. Okay,
mhm.
gotcha. And then we got. Oh, sorry.
I was just gonna say, like, I think that I don't know. I don't really care that much about the Penguin show. I think I would have if they had somehow finagled it so that it came out a few months after the Batman or something like that, near in proximity to the release date, because it's been a couple years since the Batman. I just watched the Batman, I think like half of it the other day. Really good movie. Even on the second watch through, really enjoyed it. But I just don't care to like at least watch the Penguin live, like as it's coming out. I might watch it once it's all out a couple
So you're
months down the
saying
line.
it would have benefited from the relevance and the
I think
momentum
so.
when Batman was out? That's fair.
Or
That's fair.
if they had waited until like the second Batman movie was coming out and they released the Penguin show a few months before that, or even
Yeah.
6 months before that.
No, that's valid. I feel that because has been. Geez, when was that?
2022, I think.
Sheesh.
Or was it 2021? It was 2021 or 2022.
Sweet Lord. Every year between now and 2020 is a blur, is just one giant year in my brain. So it could have been either, and I don't even.
I just can't believe it's
don't
already
know.
2024. Felt like 2020 was like last year.
Because it kind of was.
Look how
Oh,
old we've become.
I know.
It's not too often I reference the sequels, folks.
Well, I always do that's a question for another time, all the time. I always do that anytime anyone asks it, anything. I'm always doing that. So that is something that is stuck in with me. But everything else I'm trying to forget. Anyway.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
The Walking Dead, did you guys see the trailer?
No.
Well, Rick Grimes is back, baby. The love story between Rick and
Michonne,
changed by the world that is constantly changing. Will they find themselves in a war against the living, or will they discover that they too are the Walking Dead?
You tell me they didn't annihilate all the zombies in the first 10 seasons of that
No,
show?
there's still more, Kat.
I kind of want to do reactions to the first few seasons at least, because I've heard there was a showrunner change midway through, and that kind of led to different perceptions of the show after that. But I've heard the first 2 seasons are like peak epic television.
Oh, you haven't seen it?
I've never seen anything Walking Dead, and it was like culturally
yeah,
iconic.
It was. There was nothing like it for a while. It was performing super well, and then it just they started doing things like just cyclical plots and character arcs that we'd already seen before. They do them over and over again. And then they started doing tactics that like a show that you thought would be threatened to be canceled would do. Like they have like these major cliffhangers for no reason at the end of seasons. It became a mess. I do think it pulled it together towards the end, and the last couple seasons were pretty good. And now they're doing all these spin-off shows, and I don't know how to feel about that.
Right. This is like the third.
Like every franchise that ever existed, past and present, are preparing for the future by just recycling and bringing things back.
They do kind of have stormtroopers in a season, yeah.
What? All right, now I really have to watch. I gotta react.
It's literally the last season,
sick.
though.
Nah.
The first season was great.
It was so sick. And then once we got to the prison sequence, I just stopped watching.
Alex hates prison.
I at least want to watch. The first 2 seasons I've heard are like unanimously very well praised.
Zach loves prison.
No, Alex hates prison. He can never go back there.
I did my time.
Can't swim.
I've never even heard of some of these, to be honest.
I know. They don't even have 6666 and then Devil in the White City. Haven't seen. Creature Commandos. Don't know. The Regime. Kate Winslet's back.
Yeah. Well, she's amazing. So.
Percy Jackson. Have you guys seen this yet?
Yes, it's so good. It's actually really, really, really good.
I watched the first episode. I haven't watched after that, but I did like the first episode. It was actually pretty good.
Yeah,
I think give it a watch.
I think the Percy Jackson series really tapped into what hopefully the Avatar show will. Going back to what you were talking about, like Alex and Zach, the age, appropriate actors and characters, and actually casting Because there were rumors for a very long time that they were going to age all the characters up in Avatar and they were going to be like 18 years old, but it's clear Aang actually looks 12. They look younger, like teenage, very young teenagers. So that's something that the Percy Jackson series has been doing. It's been very interesting to see these actual actors who were 12. They were literally 12 years old when they were like actually taping this, which is marvelous when you think about like what I was doing when I was 12.
Well,
like not
so
that
tough. It's so tough to film. Like, well, that sounds weird. It's so tough to get production times for minors.
Yes.
Because it's
Mhm.
like the
With
like
lots
the
of laws and stuff
all the
and
laws and regulations around it, which means that they have to like nail it early, otherwise costs
right.
start rising.
That's a very good point. So, but it just their youth really maximizes the stakes and intensity and just the like epic factor of what they're doing as like 12-year-olds versus if it, the movie, for example, that rendition, they are kind of like 18 appearing to be older. So I hope it's very enjoyable for that reason because they do have the youth and like innocence to them that is very fun to see how it translates to these massive tasks at hand. So that will be hopefully that element does carry over into Avatar since they did cast seemingly age appropriate people. So fingers crossed.
But the original creator is on Percy Jackson. That's the
Cat checkmate, Cat. Checkmate.
You know what? You're so right. Yes, the
but,
OG.
but I'm
OG.
pro ATLA though. I'm pro live action. I hope it's gonna be good. But I'm just throwing out the facts here. That's all.
No, and it's very evident. I think based on public reception, the show's seemingly doing pretty well, I think. And I didn't even read the books, but I'm really enjoying it. But you're so right. That's actually so true. The original author has been involved every step of the way, starting even from casting process. So, and it paid off. It goes to show. It's a prime example of what happens when you have the OGs, on board.
They need to do the same thing with Eragon.
Okay, wait. Is that getting a show? Or,
Think.
Shut up. No,
I heard. Let's see. I thought I heard something about it.
Because I effing love that movie. I am not gonna.
You like the movie? What?
oh, no.
I
No,
love that
Cat.
movie.
No.
But I never read the book. Maybe I started reading it and then stopped. Because I have some memory of it. My older brother had the book, so I think I picked it up, but I never finished it. But I liked that movie, not gonna lie.
That movie.
I think fourth
so-
grade was when I read it.
That was
remember.
the first movie that I can remember because as a child I was very easy to please with my movies. But that was the first movie I watched as a kid where I was just like, that was trash.
Your career as a film critic was born.
Yeah, that's what it all started.
My God.
No, the books are good though. I mean, it's a little the first like the book Eragon, the first one. It's kind of a ripoff of Lord of the Rings and Star Wars combined, which I mean, it's not a bad thing. Those are two great properties, but a lot of the story beats are just straight out of like Lord of the Rings or Star Wars. But I do really enjoy like Eldest and Brisingr, and I don't really remember much about the last one. But now I'm reading the spinoff that he just released recently, so I really would like. Yeah, he's still writing. I really would like a good Eragon show or movie at some point.
Yeah, there was like a lot of inconsistencies in the movie.
Now that my prefrontal cortex is developed, maybe I'll go back and rewatch it.
It's crazy going back and watching the things that you liked as a kid and realizing, wow,
now that I have critical thinking.
I watched this how many times? I can't even get through it this time.
I probably haven't watched it since my prepubescent days. So now that I have analysis skills, maybe I will.
Also, quick fun fact about the movie Eragon. That was the last movie that they ever had a wide-scale VHS release for.
Whoa.
Yeah.
End of an era.
Indeed. What a banger to end it on.
Like,
too.
like, do you want this to go to the new tech, or should we just leave it with the old tech? Just leave it with the old
Let
tech.
it die.
Let it die.
Let the pest die.
Release it on VHS if you have to.
I was waiting for it. I wasn't going to be the one to say it. Okay. Anyway, now here we are with the Acolyte, right? When is this releasing? Do you guys remember?
Don't worry about it.
We haven't even gotten a trailer yet.
I don't think we even have a window of release.
Chat, Chat, do you guys know any area possibly? Is it gonna be like fall? Or
I
is it gonna
had
be
thought it
earlier
was
than
going to be
that?
earlier this year.
Knowing
but
our luck, it will be December 31st, 2024 at midnight or at 11:59.
At 11:59. They're like, but technically midnight, so technically 2025. Like, oh, great.
Ew, that's a violent thought. It's going to be freaking 20. Stop. We just.
Violent thought. It's only
Already.
January, Cat. Don't stress
I
out
know.
about next year.
Yeah, we got all year, Cat. It's so far
We've
away.
got all year.
I'm just now having 2024 sink in. So
It's such
sweet
a
Lord.
beautiful number, though.
I love the even years.
2024.
Mhm.
It's beautiful. 2023 looks gross. 2022
True.
is scary. 2021 ew. 2020
True.
had potential.
True.
But then
COVID, yeah, COVID happened.
little COVID. Everyone has COVID sometimes. You know, a little spooky COVID. But yeah.
There hasn't been a year this strong since 1924.
This is our year.
It's been 84 years. I don't know what that is. I don't know what that
I
is.
don't know what any of these
I don't know
are.
what that is. Alien.
Alien.
She
The perfect
agrees.
size.
Like it.
She agrees.
She's like thumbs up. Castlevania, you guys fans? No.
I've not yet.
Blade
did
Runner
not know they were
2099.
doing a Blade Runner series.
Really? It takes place 50 years after 2049? That's where the number came from? Interesting.
That's a satisfying year, 2099.
That like hurts my brain.
I hope we'll be around to see it. We'll be still 2099 stream, everybody. Be there.
It's still in our wheelhouse. We can do it.
We'll
could
set
do it.
We'll schedule it right now for 2099.
Can we?
I don't know. I have no idea. That would be crazy though. You got like StreamYard just like going through. It's like, why is there a stream scheduled for 2099?
My God.
We got time travelers.
Sausage Party? Sorry, I just saw that.
Sausage
peeking
Party
out.
Foodtopia.
What? That movie was obscene.
It makes money. So they did it. Palm Royale chronicles a woman reconstructing her identity in the 1960s after being dismissed by her husband and her entire social circle. Okay.
Mm.
It do be
Dark
like that
matter.
sometimes.
Family
Napoleon
Man abducted-
series? Sorry, I'm talking over you.
based on best-selling showrunner. You heard of this?
Nope.
Sci-fi though.
We got Napoleon biography.
Interesting.
Whatevs. Judge Dredd.
I've heard a lot of people like Judge Dredd. I've never seen it though.
The original's cool. The newest one I saw a long time ago. I don't know.
Carl Urban's in that, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
I don't know if it's still good to me. I'll have to watch it. But then we got Dune the Prophecy.
Yes.
I'm so hyped for that. That's probably going to be later in this year. All
We
of the ones
need
that
a-
are still filming.
We need a clip of Kat doing that so that whenever Dune is mentioned, you can just run the clip.
Okay, I'm gonna do that for next week. We're just gonna talk about Dune all the time.
I'll put it on tape for you. I'll put it down for you.
Or I'll do the second half of the song so it finishes what she started.
Joan.
A woman who goes between, I think, Joan of Arc. Or no.
Cleopatra, Joan of Arc.
Isn't there a Joan of Arc thing coming out? Maybe I'm just tripping.
She
I don't
dies
know.
brutally. Spoiler.
That's her legacy.
She gets
Awful.
burned at the stake.
Big Swiss.
A
Brideshead
Moana
Revisited, Moana.
series. Oh, Akatar. The Book Talk girlies are gonna love that.
It's gonna be
Court of
it's gonna
Thorns
be
and
animation.
Roses.
Gangs of New
Gangs
York.
of New York.
That was a great movie.
They're redoing it.
I guess they are. I would say I hope not because the movie is fine, but
Yeah, that's one of the fucking best films of all time. Easy. They're just gonna bring back everyone's still alive. They can just
Yeah.
bring them all back. They're
dude,
like,
Daniel Day-Lewis is incredible in
yeah.
like everything. He's so good in that movie.
There Will Be Blood is the one that like got me. Like oh my god, is this him? Like, is he playing himself now? I'm actually kind of scared. I don't know.
What would you like, Eli?
Did Dude, the bowling scene.
Oh my god. Powerpuff. What's that?
That show's been going on
So
for
live
forever, but I
action?
thought it got canceled.
It's a live action Powerpuff Girls.
Looking at Dove Cameron.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
why
thought
would
it
they
had
do
been
that?
canceled,
Women
or
in
at
their
least maybe.
20s fight crime.
Yeah. There were some set photos that got leaked, I think, and people were up in arms. But I don't know. I totally thought that either maybe it got shelved or I thought it was canceled. Never mind. Doesn't matter. It's happening, I guess.
For the mucka.
How would they do Mojo Jojo in live action?
I was just imagining that. Yeah.
Just like a green chimpanzee.
Unless he's just not a chimpanzee at all, he's just a person. So, it doesn't even matter anymore.
He's just like
he's
just like Dwayne The Rock Johnson.
They just put him in everything. Isn't there a live action Moana? That's why I thought that was when I first saw it. I thought they were gonna have
they shouldn't
The Rock
be doing
in there.
that either. Disney, you need to stop with your live action remakes. You seriously just need to stop.
Scott Pilgrim takes off.
Pilgrim. Oh, the God of War show is coming out
this year.
That's next
already?
year. That's next year. This is like 2025 now, beginning of 2025.
I was gonna say pre-production. There's no way. What the heck?
What is that?
Star Wars Detours.
Is that like a children's version?
Isn't that a ride?
A comedic look. No, that's Star Tours. A comedic look at our favorite characters' more mundane moments during the reign of the Empire. So it's animated. Oh God.
Oh, okay. So it's gonna be like a little kids.
Wasn't this something that was shelved?
I don't know. I've never heard about
that
this.
was shelved.
Oh yeah.
So it's coming back out?
I guess so.
Whoa. That's wild. See. I don't know any of this. I don't know any of that.
Yeah.
Starsky and Hutch.
I liked the Ben Stiller version.
So they're bringing that back now? Jesus. And The Veil, which I don't know. But, okay.
I don't know a lot of these.
That about wraps it up. What are your guys' top 5 TV shows? You want me to go first?
Go first, buddy.
I will go first. My number 1 is House of the Dragon season 2. Number 2 is oh yeah, well, we didn't talk about this, but The Boys and Shogun are also 2 shows that weren't on there.
Shogun.
Shogun. We got ATLA, my number 2. I'm really excited for it. Shogun, which I'm really excited for because I love Japanese history. The Boys series finale. Series finale season. Yeah. Last season. Is that how you say it?
Yep.
Last season. Yeah. The final season. I'm really excited for. And then Acolyte, because I want it to be amazing, so I'm just going to put it in the 5 spot with the 2 honorable mentions of Alien and The Penguin.
All right. Fair,
you really thought about this a lot.
That's all I do. Let's just think about this kind of stuff. Whoa!
Oh, no, never do that again. That was too close.
We all just had a collective jump scare. Could see my pores. I don't know if I have any specific order. I forgot that the Dune series is coming out, which frankly,
I think
HBO Max ones. No, F. Dang. All right, that's been scrapped. That's been scrapped.
I should just figure out how to bleep that you saying the word F, so it sounds like you're cursing. Actually, that's better.
I learned that from my father-in-law because he doesn't curse at all, and he one time just texted us F. Exclamation point. I was like, that's actually perfect. So that's what I do now to censor myself. Okay. Dang, that rounded out for 5 for me. All right, I don't know if these are in any particular order, but the HBO Max productions, which I believe the Dune Prophecy series is also going to be alongside Penguin. I'm excited just because obviously HBO Max always delivers with that. House of the Dragon, yes, that's probably my number 1, just because we know going in it's going to be epic. It's going to be amazing, and I loved season 1, and I have high hopes that even the second season is going to like even blow the first out of the water. So House of the Dragon, close second Acolyte. Actually, yeah, close second Acolyte, Avatar. Where am I? I guess Penguin in fourth, even though I have high hopes about quality for that one just because it's HBO. And I don't know a fifth one. My fifth one was going to be Dune. So that's my premature excitement for 2025.
So your choice for 2024 is something that's coming out in 2025. All right.
Yes.
So now that that's established, Zach, what are your top 5?
I don't have 5. I have 2. I would go
Okay.
House of the Dragon at number 1, and I guess Acolyte at number 2, and everything else. If I watch it, I watch it.
Hopefully
If
it's
I
good.
don't, I don't. Yeah, like I'm not really putting too much stock in anything else.
Fair enough.
Solid.
So I think we're all agree. We all agree it's House of the Dragon is where it's at.
Yeah, it's gonna be the show of the year. Hopefully,
especially because it can shine now. That there was so much going on when House of the Dragon, Andor, and Rings of Power were all going on at like the same time. It was almost like overstimulation. So it'll be able to just shine on its own.
I think this is the year of TV shows, right? Pretty much. Like I can't. There's no Star Wars movies coming out. There's no movies that are like gonna change the world. It's gonna be mostly TV shows this year,
world.
Right? From what we reviewed last week, we were like, the movies are, okay, but the TV shows are where it's at. I'm pretty sure that was the consensus.
Yeah,
yes,
I mean, I definitely think there's more high-profile shows than movies. That's for sure coming out this year.
Oh, Simply Everything Skywalker.
Oh,
I remember.
Go.
What up?
Simply?
What's up?
And now we move on to Star Wars news, and we will go first to the Mando movie.
That came out of nowhere, did it not?
Well, there had been the rumors. There was those rumors swirling that the final season, or that the upcoming season of Mando was going to be a film instead. And of course, with that came rumor, I guess, that it was going to be the culmination as a feature film. So I feel like it is surprising the manner in which it was announced. And, Tom made a good point. Usually with Star Wars announcements, there's a poster or something to show for it, a little tease, just anything. And other than the title, like there's nothing. So it feels like a bit abrupt, or just like, whoa, like there were of course those rumors, but then they died down, and now it's been announced, and it's like, oh
yes. So there were like rumors. They were saying it's not going to be a TV show. It's going to be. We did talk about The Walking Dead.
Yeah, we did. We mentioned it.
What was I saying? There were rumors saying it's going to be the season 4, season 4 is going to be a movie, not a show. And then they were saying all these other things were circulating everywhere. Like, what do we believe? And now it officially came out that it's going to be a movie. And then I feel like everyone's like, wait, really? Because it was a little like out of left field, a little weird, confusing. And then also, what is it going to be titled? Right? Is it going to be like Mandalorian and Grogu?
I think that's what it is.
The Adventures of Mandalorian and Grogu.
I don't like that. It's
babysitting Mandalorian and Grogu.
Can we stop naming things after the characters? I mean, Jesus Christ. What happened to the days of a good old title? Everything's like Ahsoka or the Book of Boba Fett or...
Watch, the Rey movie's gonna be Rey!
It's like... What is the show? I mean, okay, the show already felt like it ended as it began, right? It felt like filler. It felt like it didn't really go anywhere. There were some cool moments, right? But then we were also like, well, that wasn't as good as the show could be. And we're like, okay, well, if it's going to be a movie, will it translate to the big screen? Is it just going to be TV show budget thrown onto the big screen for box office, right? Or is it going to be like repackaged is the tone going to be relooked at? Is it going to look way more cinematic, more cameras? Are they going to do all sorts of cool Star Warsy movie stuff? But are they still going to use the volume for most of it? Is it going to be a Rebel Moon? That's the thing. Rebel Moon was 180 million or whatever, and they obviously used the volume there, and it looked awful. So imagine going to the movie theaters to see Rebel Moon, right? You can see that. That's what I do not hope the Mandalorian and Grogu show. I hate saying that, it's too long. It needs to be something else, like the babysitter or something. Just say the babysitter at this point. A Star Wars story, babysitter, a Star Wars story. But it's just like I don't know if they can pull that off. It's gonna be like a 2-hour TV show, and they're not going to be able to they're not going to be able to do as much. They're going to have to say a lot more and do a lot more in a little time, and they already can't do that. They already can't extend TV shows to their allotted time, and now they have to bring down something that usually has, at least 5 or 6 hours of screen time. Like, and that's another thing. Like, the episodes aren't even an hour long, so it's like I almost said 10 hours, but no Star Wars TV shows over 10 hours. So now they have to condense a 6-hour story into 2 hours, right? Have it look good, have it tell a story, and it's like how is Favreau going to do that alone? And I don't know. I'm worried.
Yeah, my biggest question, I think that will dictate a lot of whatever direction this film goes in, is how relevant or consequential will it be to the larger lore of The Mandalorian, the entirety of the series as we know it, or how much are they going to cater to the moviegoer audience as well as people who've never seen the series? Like, where are they going to strike the balance? What are they going to lean more into? Whether this is going to just be a side quest, inconsequential, it can hold up on its own and won't have necessarily any major impact on everything that we know that's been established by the show itself. Or will it have, if I saw rumors today, fresh, again, I don't know what the validity is to them, and it was just a random Star Wars account on Twitter that I saw that tweeted it, so I don't know the validity of the source or the rumors at all, but it would make sense. They were saying that there will be a season 4, and then it will be followed by the finale culminating as the film. So, like, my hope is that it does actually have larger impact for the show as we know it to culminate in this finale here. But I don't know, I'm excited because I think one of my biggest complaints about Mandalorian is that the episodes have been like consecutively shorter. And my favorite episode, like, I think to this day, still one of my favorite Mando episodes is season 2, episode 1, which was like 45 minutes, which still isn't even really that long, but it's longer than the average, I think, of all the other episodes combined. So, but you do make a good point.
That's a recurring theme. I feel like every premiere is our favorite episode because it's actually
it's long.
Yeah.
Wait, that's so true. Bad Batch premiere. That's so true.
I think what I'm struggling with about kind of wrapping my head around what this could possibly be about is the way season 3 ended. It kind of felt like a reset. Like, okay, let's get back to basics, back to what the Mandalorian initially was, which was just kind of like an adventure of the week. Like, there's no fighting Moff Gideon. There's no like retaking Mandalore. All that's behind us. Usually, I guess if you were building up to a movie, you would have some kind of direction that they were heading in. And if it's true that they're going to do season 4 and then have the movie, then they have a chance to kind of lay the groundwork as to what the movie might be about. But as of right now, I have no idea what they're going to make a movie about. Like, no idea. Because it seems like Thrawn might just get resolved with the Ahsoka season 2 show. Is this like major crossover like movie happening still with that was rumored? Is that still going to happen or what? Like, if this is going to be the last appearance of Din Djarin, what's going on with that? Like, I'm really confused.
So
I don't know where things stand.
That's right, because that's what the Dave Filoni film was rumored to be, right? That it was going to be like a Mandoverse, Boba, Ahsoka, a culminating event. But seemingly Dave Filoni's movie is going to be a little bit later now in the timeline. I literally don't know. I have no idea.
I don't think they even know. That's what worries me.
That is a good point, Alex.
I mean, if we're hearing this and it's a surprise to everyone, I feel like it's just showing that they're like, okay, we need to like see what sticks now. We need to keep throwing shit against the wall, and whatever doesn't run down, that's what we're gonna keep there. And that worries me, right? Because I think they're creatively, right? I think they're trying their best, but I just think that the leadership and the direction and the time they're given and everything is just, there's just something going on, and it's not hitting well with fans, right? So I don't expect this to be incredible, right? Because granted, Ahsoka wasn't incredible, right? It was okay, right? Maybe even slightly good, but it wasn't great like it should have been. And for them to think that a movie, after playing, okay, so let me get this right. So you watch 6 episodes of a TV show, right? And then you go to the theaters to see a 2-hour film that is the same thing, just on the big screen for more money, and it does the same thing as the finale this year did, right? Where it kind of left like an empty taste or whatever in your mouth, and it didn't quite hit the mark. I'm worried that's just what they're going to do. They're only doing this because they need to get in the box office, they need to sell tickets and make more money, whatever. And I want to be cautiously optimistic, but I'm done with doing that. It needs to prove me wrong for me to get back on the hype wagon or the hype train again, right?
Yeah, I
What
have
up, Barb's Basement? Long time.
faith, Barbs. I have faith because, you know, Jon Favreau has done films before. Like, that's not a new arena for him, so I'm excited. That is like reassuring, and also like the passion with which he talks about Mando. Like, I feel like they wouldn't be doing this unless they do have a story that's hopefully warranted. Not to say though, Alex, I'm not disagreeing with your point that maybe they don't even have a game plan.
Dunk
I would
on
like to
him,
hope that they
Kat.
do. No, I would like to hope that they do, but you know, this news does seem very out of left field. And yeah, there were those rumors originally swirling around, but it still feels very surprising. And like out of the blue, and like, okay, like we'll take it. But almost, yeah, just the way it was
We'll take the
announced.
crumbs.
Yeah, like
It's
it
okay.
does feel very like a little unceremonious. Like I just found out by Googling Star Wars news. Like there's nothing.
Exactly,
Yeah.
Serena. Disney doesn't take risks. That's exactly it.
That's how I feel about Ahsoka, like the show. I thought it was so close to being amazing, and then it just, at the end, it just pulled itself back.
Like it had a good start, and then it slowly started going back to where it started, almost in a weird way. Like tonally, the pace, everything, and then because like this, there were never any stakes, right? So usually you build up to like a conflict, and there's stakes, and like you don't know if your character is going to make it up. But the entire time, I knew no one was going to die, and that Ahsoka was going to end up victorious, or Thrawn was going to escape, right? And then that, like, it was all predictable. That's the problem. I don't want things to be predictable. I don't want to like know exactly how it's going to happen. Some people just watch shows for enjoyment and the cool special effects and whatever. But I want like a good story where I can't necessarily see what's happening or where it's going. I need it to feel real. I need it to feel like there's real life motive and stake happening, right? Otherwise, I'm just sitting there like, okay, well, that's going to happen. This is going to happen. Kind of like what Zach always does, or what we always do when we're predicting how things are going to end on the watch party or whatever, and it always comes to fruition, right? Or Zach's always right about the twist at the end, right?
I'm tired of being right, Grandpa.
We all want to be wrong.
Bad.
You know, and it's just like if Game of Thrones had a lot of really good twists, right? Other good shows have had a lot of really good twists. Breaking Bad was another really good show.
Game of Thrones also wasn't afraid to kill off their protagonist.
They also weren't afraid to ruin their entire show in the end.
Yeah, they're doing did you see David Benioff and DB Weiss are doing a new
the Three Body Problem, which I've read the first 2. It's a trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Some of the most complex, dense books I've ever read. I don't know how the hell they're gonna do it. But
how does it compare to Dune?
I would say there's just a lot of science to it. It's very like science heavy. Like so it
like pseudoscience or like real science?
Like real science.
Okay.
And that applies to the science fiction elements of the story. But like the science fiction elements of the story are phenomenal. It's just you have to kind of get a feel for some of the science. It's great. Like I'd highly recommend it. It's not like the easiest read. So it's kind of like Dune in that regard. It's not an easy, breezy read by any means.
Dune,
I mean, if Kat is just cruising through Dune, I mean, I'm sure she can read anything.
No, I'm certainly not cruising. Children of Dune felt like I was like,
you're on like book 12, Kat. What do you mean you're not cruising through Dune?
No. Well, it was you guys. You guys inspired me. And Zach, I remember you mentioning I saw some marketing for the three body problem. That's what it's called. I saw some like an image release or something from the show, and I remember you talking about it, and you inspired me to read Dune. And then I was like, maybe this will. I'm inspired to read this as well. But hearing that there's science involved, my brain can't. There's nothing like that in Dune. Dune's just a lot of fantasy world building.
True. I almost gave up on the three body problem because not only is there a lot of science, but the first book, it's like the first 100 pages are about the Chinese Revolution from like the early 1900s, and then you get into like the modern day and then a bunch of science. You have to like get through a slog before you get to the good stuff. And then the second book is incredible. I love the second book. Wow. Probably one of the best books I've ever read. Okay. You could honestly like read a summary of the first book and then jump into the second book, and that would probably work.
Wow. Cheat code. Maybe
read the cliff notes.
Hell yeah. Can we let's take a moment to appreciate that water moving. Now we can really see it. It looks great.
Looks nice, doesn't it?
It does.
I'm learning animation, everyone. Pat me on the back. Do you see the trees? There's breeze too in the trees.
Oh, I just noticed that. Oh shit.
Yeah.
Where's Anakin trying to kiss Padme?
Right there. Right there on the corner.
Nice.
He is supposed to be right there, right? On that ledge, like on the right side. That's where they were, right? Yeah, Kat, you were there. You would know. You're like, I was there.
Under those trees.
So
I don't know what my Alexa stop. She's telling me about some cat.
She's trying to get involved.
She's literally talking about a cat right now. Alexa, stop.
Alexa, can't you see we're on stream?
Alexa, we're live.
That's Alexa. Okay. Anyway, this is the sketch from Ahsoka. The Ahsoka. It's official and everything, released by Disney and Star Wars. And the thing about this is, obviously, you see Ahsoka and you see
Sabine.
I almost forgot her name, and that, obviously that worries me a bit because I don't really want to see a show where it's centered on them, right?
Alex hates women.
I honestly. No, it's not that I hate women, right? I just really don't like the thing that they have. It just doesn't work for me. I don't see it. I don't feel it. It doesn't make sense. I don't like her being force sensitive. I don't like any of that, right? So if this is going to be something where we switch between that narrative and Thrawn's narrative, kind of like what Game of Thrones does between different kingdoms, sure. But if the show is like emphasizing their journey on this planet, looking for, I don't know, like Abeloth or whatever it is they're doing, I don't know if I'm really going to care that much because I know they're going to be okay the entire time. I don't know. What do you guys think?
Meaning, like you think the stakes, like there's no fear.
I just feel like, well, not only the stakes, but I'm not a fan of their character dynamic in this show right now.
Ahsoka.
I don't hate women, but I hate women. No, I'm just kidding. But it's just their characters are just awful in the show. I love Sabine in Rebels, but she just isn't the same Sabine in the live action at all to me.
Interesting. No, that's valid. I think for me, the biggest thing that would instill some fear that we didn't necessarily get is the realization of what actually happened. Like, I think everyone's still in a little bit of a honeymoon phase, just the relief that they were able to, sacrifice themselves to bring Ezra home. But like, I want to see it kick in, then I'll be afraid. Because right now I have no doubt that Ahsoka and Sabine will get back, even though seemingly there is no that they don't have the means to, and the Purgle or whatnot. Like, even though I have no idea how they're going to do it, I have confidence that they will, because like you've said, Alex, thinks it's that there's no risk necessarily involved. But that for me would elevate like some of the stakes and the fear factor. If we actually saw Ahsoka and Sabine reckoning with holy shiz, what do we do now? And the helplessness of all of the havoc that Thrawn will be wreaking across the galaxy, and it's kind of their fault. So I would appreciate that, because there's seemingly not really been consequences emotionally for them. They feel very chill at the end of season 1, and I kind of want to see the realization hit in the way that almost, not that it will pit them against each other, but that will truly test their freshly healed relationship. I don't know, to seeing two people trapped in isolation together with no way to get back, what is that going to psychologically do to them, and how is it going to test them and stuff like that?
I think that what Barb's basement saying here is kind of valid. Ahsoka has she outstayed her welcome? I think that's a good question to pose, because I've always felt that the further they push her away from kind of her relationship with Anakin and Darth Vader, the less relevant I think she becomes. It's like that was where most of the weight of, I feel like, her character was, like when she was in that time period dealing with those relationships. Now that she's so far past that, I don't know that I care as much. Like Alex was saying, I don't care about her and Sabine. Like I don't feel that as an organic master student relationship. It feels very hollow. It feels like they just sprung that on us and didn't really earn that. And she doesn't have any real relationships with anybody else. Like I don't really care about her and Hera. Like they barely interacted in Rebels, and they barely interacted in this show. It just feels like all of the weight of who Ahsoka was as a character was lost with Anakin, Obi-Wan, Rex, all those characters that we watched her alongside for years, and now they're all gone, and it's just her and these characters that she doesn't have a rapport with. And it's like they keep pushing her down the road. I just fear that when it does come time for her character to finally, end and resolve, it's just not going to be as powerful as it would have had she, I don't know, maybe died at the hands of Darth Vader or something like that. If they just ended it there, like that would have been, it would have been nuts. It would have been like tragic.
God.
So I feel like they passed up a golden opportunity to have one of the saddest, most tragic moments in all of Star Wars, so they could keep her alive and continue to use her, which, I mean, I love Ahsoka. I've said it. She's one of my top 5 favorite characters of all time, but I'm all about ending characters at the right time and when it's most impactful. And I do at times wish that she had died to Darth Vader on Malachor.
No, you raise a really good point.
And now she's being used to show us that anyone can be a master Jedi. They just got to try a little harder. They just got to use that force. They just got to use that force power a little bit harder, and they'll be able to do anything as long as you have the right teacher, right? And I'm just like, nope, not for me. Not a fan.
You're not a fan of their interpretation of the Force there?
No, but I mean, it's whatever. I'm not going to be a gatekeeper or anything. I just
it's whatever.
From my perspective, I always saw the Force as it was something you were born with.
Concrete.
It was natural talent. It was like something that it was very secretive, and only the Order sought you out and noticed it and could grab you and find you. It's like if anyone can do it, right? It kind of ruins the whole coven and secrecy that they created, right? And you could argue, sure, it's just their hubris that kept them secretive and whatever, but it's like, no, then that means that anyone could have been Anakin if they just had the right teacher or the right incentive.
You didn't try hard enough.
You didn't try to kill kids hard enough, man. So you didn't really master the dark side. And I'm just like, it just leaves it open. It leaves too many things are open now. Like the whole Pandora's box has been opened, and I don't like it.
I think the message they're trying to say is that everybody's special. You can do anything, which is not true. And what I think is a better message is saying, hey, look at this Mandalorian girl. She doesn't have the Force. She's just a normal person, but she worked really hard at these things, and she's done incredible feats. She's saved people. She's helped defeat the Empire. She's liberated Lothal. Like, I think that's more powerful, that like taking a regular person like Andor did and showing that they can rise above and they can be a part of something, and they can make broad changes to the world, and they can make the world a better place. I think that's more powerful than saying like, oh, anybody can be a Jedi if you try hard enough.
Doesn't need to be a Jedi.
She does not need to
She
be.
really doesn't. She's proven everything that she has to prove. She doesn't need to be a Jedi for us to care about her. And that's what I think they're not understanding.
I liked her more when she wasn't a Jedi, to be honest.
Yeah.
I know. I'm really trying to grapple with what was the reasoning behind that, other than they needed somebody to serve as the parallel, the vessel for Ahsoka to train and then be forced to look back on her own training and her own relationship now that she's the master. Like, other than that and the fact that Sabine was the only option, I'm struggling to find the reasoning behind it, because you're so right, both of you. Like, I hated that so much of her self-worth was rooted in the fact that she didn't have the Force. And it's like, girl, did you not watch yourself in the entirety of Rebels? Like, you're a boss. You're such a boss. And I feel like Rebels made an effort to point out that she could go toe-to-toe with Ezra. And even though she maybe suffered a little bit of, like, you know, jealousy there that Kanan was training him or whatnot, like, they definitely, I think, explored that a little bit in, you know, when she came to possess the Darksaber. But they always came back to the point that she had confidence and she was a boss and she is like super awesome Mando. Like, it wasn't a necessity. So I'm still, unless there's a larger purpose, although it seemed pretty resolved that, you know, that she was toiling over not having the Force for the entirety of the season and then she unlocks it. Unless there's a larger purpose for that within the story, I'm still like, why? She was already a really well-developed female character. Like, they didn't need to do this to boost public favor in by any means. So yeah, that's my biggest.
I was hoping that what they were gonna do was kind of a misdirection where they're setting it up to where we're gonna think, oh, in the end she's gonna use the Force and it's gonna be this resounding moment. But what was actually gonna happen was that she decided, I don't need the Force. I have value. I can solve these problems my own way, like I always have. I'm a Mandalorian. That would have been so much better. And they didn't do that. And she just, as soon as she used the Force once, it was like she was Obi-Wan freaking Kenobi. She was using it right and left without any issues. And that, I hate that. And that is a trope I hate so much in storytelling. When there's like magic or whatever, and the main character struggles to use it, and they use it one time, and all of a sudden, now they can use it all willy-nilly. They don't have to learn anymore. They've got like complete mastery over it, and they don't even have to think about it. It's like, that is not realistic. Like, if I'm learning to shoot a basketball, everyone hates that
person that's better than them at everything.
Right. It's like, if I'm learning to shoot a basketball and I'm terrible at it, but finally I make one basket, it doesn't mean I'm gonna make every basket from now on. I'm gonna miss a lot of baskets still until I learn how to shoot better. So it's just a little thing that irritated me.
There are those rare occurrences where, like, your friend's like, oh, can you show me how to do that? And you're like, oh yeah, you just do this and that. And they're way better than you after doing it for like 10 minutes or an hour. But that's very rare, right? That's not real life. That doesn't happen in everything. And I feel like for something like the Force or wielding a lightsaber, it's not just like, oh yeah, I got this. I mean, yeah, she did use the Darksaber, but I feel like it's not the same thing. Right?
No, it's the Force. And Disney has done this time and time again. They did it with Rey, how Rey had to do no training to just have a complete grasp on the Force. They did it with Obi-Wan. Like, as soon as he, I guess, believes in himself, he's able to use the Force to to incredible heights that he's never before been able to reach. So
it's been 10 years.
Exactly.
Now I'm a master again. Yeah.
Now I can lift all these rocks. It's like,
I did like the idea of like your Force abilities kind of like degrading over time. Like, the less you're involved, the more degradation and decrepit you become in your abilities to tune in. Right. I found that idea to be really cool. But then all of a sudden that went out the window the moment he realized he wanted to try a little harder. Right.
Yeah, it's just a shame, man. She did wrapping it all up. Sabine did not need to be a Jedi. That was not one of Dave's finest ideas.
Yeah. Okay, on to our last thing. We're going to be a little over today. Our last thing is now the Rey movie drama. Now, this is like a very interesting topic because it's like, it's another one of those Star Wars topics. It's divisive. You know, it's people like, no, it's this and that. You're this and that and whatever, and name calling, and everyone's calling each other stupid on the internet and Twitter. And really, it's just over a line that came from
An
Can we-
8-year-old interview.
Can we answer this real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
I understand that, Lord Fowl, but in storytelling, you need to have rules that your characters have to abide by and your universe has to abide by. Everything that was established with the Force from the original trilogy shows that you like picking up on the Force is not easy. It takes Luke a long time. It took Anakin years of training to get good. I understand it's fiction. It's because it's magical powers and it's not realistic in that sense, but learning a skill is always going to take time and should take time in order for it to feel earned. So it's just what I wanted to say about that.
It corresponds with life, right? It's just one of those things where if you're going to learn a skill and you're going to master it, you're not going to master it instantly. It's just unrealistic. It's not the way we work. We're not computers, right? We're not in the Matrix. The Matrix, they learned instantly because, they had rules that established how they learned that process and how they were able to pick it up so quick. And that's what made it cool. It wasn't just like I'm just going to go out here and learn this. And now all of a sudden I know how to do it. And now I can use this and win the day and survive. It's just lazy and boring. And it's a result of not having enough time and or screen time. You can do it in pre-production and production to really establish the lore and the world. It's just bad world building because they just need to move the story, right? And they do that in the sequels where they have a lot of time, and it just proves it proves Zach's point again that you need to have rules to establish the ladder for what is expected. And if you just start breaking those, then you're just kind of like, okay, well, now this feels dumb. It just feels like magical powers now. Why should I care? And that's what's irritating the fans.
Yeah, Serena, I don't have a problem with her saber skills. It's more my issue is with like her use of the Force when she's force pushing and pulling all willy-nilly after she initially uses the Force. I think her saber skills make sense because she did have the dark saber and she trained with Kanan and whatnot, and she's a freaking Mandalorian. They could use a spork as a weapon, and
weapons are my religion.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's less about the execution, more like the ideation about how it's done, right? Like whatever. It's like if she's not the best at wielding, who cares? But like if the story and everything behind it is great, like you could like look at A New Hope, right? Like it's a clunky ass fight, but there's weight behind it and there's meaning behind it. So it like I said, it's not all about visual aesthetic. It's about storytelling. That's the main should be the main focal point of anything in film is the story always.
Oh boy, Larrick, we could do an entire stream on that. Maybe we will at some point, but we definitely do not have time to get into that.
Man, we did that like a long time ago.
We've done it like 8 times, probably. Yeah. To be honest.
Go back to our early episodes. It's like all we could talk about, I feel like.
Yeah, if you go back to like podcast number 2, maybe we do a lot where we do that.
Deep in the lore of the Ewok podcast.
Only Charlie and other long-term members understand. Anyway, we'll get through this really quick, but basically, yeah, this is an interview from 2015 of the director who's directing the upcoming Rey film, right? And it's just another thing where one side hears one thing and then applies it to the present, right? So this came out almost 10 years ago, right? And she was saying this as obviously an activist, right? Doesn't mean I'll explain my viewpoint and everything later, but she goes off on this rant about making men uncomfortable for the sake of making men uncomfortable, all this jargon. And then now, as a result of this, both sides are lashing out against each other for a lot of really weird, ironic reasons, but we'll play it and then we'll discuss it.
What is the balance of activating a force for change, but also trying to permeate that patriarchy, that power structure? And is that a part of the calculation of your art as well? And what's been the reaction to that?
Oh, absolutely. I like to make men uncomfortable. I enjoy making men uncomfortable. Not you, just not you. Not you.
Point taken. Point taken.
But it is important to be able to look into the eyes of a man and say, I am here, and recognize that. And recognize that I am working to bring something that makes you uncomfortable, and it should make you uncomfortable because you need to change your attitude. And it's only when you're uncomfortable, when you're shifty, when you have to have difficult conversations that you will perhaps look at yourself in the mirror and not like the reflection, and then say, maybe there is something wrong with the way I think, or maybe there is something wrong with the way I am addressing this issue.
So
yeah,
I'll let you guys go.
that's the first time I've heard it, and I'll be completely honest, I don't really have a problem with what she said. I think that if you do have a problem with what she said, kind of like how she said, you need to look yourself in the mirror. I don't get the whole like I'm just gonna be super woke for no reason from that. I get more of like, hey, we just want women to be present in media like they are in real life. Like we don't need to have just like a bunch of dudes all the time in movies. We can have, equal representation or whatever. I don't get that sense that she's just going to be like, oh, women are better than men all like day long in that Rey movie. Plus it was, it was like years ago, and she was probably a little bit playing to, I guess, the setting she was in, maybe trying to be funny with how she said, like, I want to make men uncomfortable.
That was like when the whole like woke movement and like whatever you want to label it, right? I'm speaking as an unbiased party. Whatever you want to call what was happening in that time, it was very strong, right? It was everywhere. Everyone was talking about it. So, I mean, I'll let Kat go, and then I'll go right after. But I just wanted to hear what you guys have to say about these.
Yeah, no, I don't think, as a woman, I don't think there's anything egregious about her commentary here. Just like for example, it's like exactly as Zach articulated. If you take offense to that, I think, or if you do watch media and it does make you feel uncomfortable because you feel like you're the target audience, being put in this position to do some self-reflection, like, then it's working. That's the point of art. That's the point of, it doesn't have to always be, of course, the point of film or TV. And I know there's a lot of discourse about whether those topics and themes should trickle into film and television and media or whatnot. But the whole point is, like I, for example, as a Caucasian person, don't mind, watching film or television that's meant to make me think about, the history of being white and benefiting from that and stuff like that, because I don't take offense to that, and I don't mind learning more about that and doing some self-reflection. Like, maybe that's just what people are afraid of who are.
I'm under the impression, I'm strongly under the impression that it is literally just hate mongering for views, right? It's literally just trying to be divisive for the sake of views, because outrage marketing is huge on YouTube, right? If you're going to be angry about something, more people are inclined to watch and listen because you're so angry. It's like, oh, why is he so angry? And I don't want to say they're all grifters, because I genuinely believe that people are really upset about this. But I feel like a lot of these people are just way too smart to like actually feel this way. They're just doing it for the views. And it is irritating because like Stanley's, if this is the actual context, right? If this is what she was referring to, this is very strong and powerful, because they are extremely segregated against in their own countries, and they don't have very many rights, and they struggle over there. And I think she was making a statement in that regard, not a statement in Western culture, right? And even if she is, whatever, right? But I think that she's saying this as from a place of like an activist, not a director, right? So I think she's going to provide the best product possible when she directs. She's not going to solely look out to virtue signal every chance she gets just because she said this 10 years ago, right?
She even said, after like everybody finished laughing, she even like singled out the guy who was leading the panel, and she said, "Not you." So what I take as that is she's not saying like, I want to make every man uncomfortable, like all men. She's literally saying, I want to make this group of people who are denying women rights or denying women representation uncomfortable, because that's wrong, and they should feel bad about what they're doing. If she had said like, I want to make men in general uncomfortable, then I might have an issue with it, because it's like, I'm a man. What the hell? What the hell did I do? Like, I didn't do anything to you.
Right.
Why are you trying to make me uncomfortable? Yeah.
And they're spinning that narrative now where, they're leaning towards all the drama that happened recently with Star Wars is for men, not for women, right? There's that that nonsense going around. And then now, as a result of all of that, people are now like cycling back and saying, oh, now we got this woman directing a movie, it's gonna suck, and now men are segregated against and everything is awful here. And I feel like there's like this weird like pseudo sense of victimhood in masculinity, right? There's that fragile masculinity approach with like all those Andrew Tate peeps. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know if that's maybe the best thing to say in this type of situation, because it's going to spark outrage, right? In a lot of ways, it's ironic, and it kind of brings the other side of this argument, which is like she needs to be smart enough to craft things. I feel like nowadays, I feel like people have to craft things to where that side that is so angry doesn't get angry like this and start controversy.
Especially
they need to figure out a way to be.
That's a big ask, Alex.
I know, but they need to figure out a way to do that so these people can't just stir the pot all the time and take things out of context, and they don't care because it fits what their agenda is. It fits how they view things. And it's just irritating to see the same thing word vomited over and over and over again about Disney Star Wars, about Kathleen Kennedy, about Forces Female, about all of this without any context, without actually looking at the problem. It is at this point, it's just all garbage on Twitter, all garbage on YouTube about Star Wars. It's nothing else other than just hate mongering, outrage marketing. And it's irritating. And I'm sick of it, to be honest with you. I'm so sick of it. I want this to all be done.
Yeah.
You know?
No, and that's what, unfortunately, I think this is, you know, as we embark on the production of the Rey film, and when it comes out, this is just the beginning of this journey and the rift it has caused in the fandom. I feel like Disney Star Wars has been trending freaking like every 8 minutes on Twitter because of the fallout that, you know, these comments being taken out of context has had with the fandom discourse. But it's just especially upsetting because of the events that I think preceded people digging into her history here to find something like this to take out of context. All this was preceded by, you know, just her own innocent comment of, yeah, like, let's go. Freaking about time a woman directed a Star Wars movie. Like
women would never speak like that in the Middle East, right? So the fact that she's doing that for her activism purposes, right, is great. I did not know that piece of context. So if that's true, the Stanleys, that's great, you know. But it's just like, just do some reading, just, you know. And if you are just doing it for views, then you're terrible.
Touch grass,
right?
touch grass.
It's just like, what are you so upset about? Like, because not everybody in the movie looks the same as you. Like, give me a break. Like, that's real life. Like, you go outside, people are gonna look different than you. You just got to accept it, man. Like, just, what are you doing? Like, why are we so upset?
And then a counterpoint to that would be like, like, I'm accepting of that. It's about the story. It's like, okay, well, sure, if it's about the story, it's a separate argument than what we're having right now. The two aren't exclusive, right?
About the story.
We can complain about the story and not have it be about race or about feminism issues or your fragile masculinity. Let's talk about the story. If the story sucks, it has nothing to do about her worldview. If anything, it's just, why do they have to always be tied together? I don't understand.
Because it's not really about the story, Alex. When they say it's not really about the story sometimes. It's about other things. They're using the story as a shield because they know they're wrong. They know they're wrong.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an us versus them narrative, and I hate it. I'm sick of it. I don't like it.
God, I just want Star Wars to go back to the way it was when we were kids. Like, it was just, I guess it was more simple then. It was just like, yeah, I mean, there are people who didn't like the prequels, but it never really felt like it was this big social justice war or whatever.
Star Wars YouTube didn't exist back then.
That is true.
And unfortunately, Alex, yeah, you're so right. Like, at the end of the day, I always have to ground myself to remind myself, like, this is all just fiction. We all come at each other's throats. I mean, I don't partake. I just observe on Twitter, you know, but people, I think, forget. People talk to each other on Twitter in the fandom, forgetting that there's like another human being on the other side of that, you know, that Twitter handle or whatnot. People have been going at it these past few days online, and it's just been really tough to see. Like, I feel like I say this all the freaking time, but it's like we are in such a worse place as a fandom than we were when freaking like Last Jedi came out, and that was like bad times. But all of this discourse now, and I have to remind myself, like, this is all just fiction. It's all fiction. Like, we're all just fans. This isn't real life. It's just Star Wars. It's literally just fiction. It's not real. But then it's so disheartening to remember like what you said, Alex. Like as long as there's profit, as long as the revenue, and we freaking talk about this all the time. I know we vent to each other that our positive content and our exciting content about Star Wars won't come
I
anywhere
can be
near
pretty
getting the
negative.
same clicks, but you do it respectfully. You're not out here with some of these clickbait crazy titles. That's that other corner of
Well, I have a
Star Wars
faceless channel,
YouTube.
so yeah, definitely not.
But it's like as long as there's clicks and as long as there's revenue for that, like those videos will always do well. Like
Mhm.
because it's exactly like you said, like rage baiting. Is that a thing?
Outrage marketing.
Yes. It's
Yeah.
just sad.
It worked for them in the wake of The Last Jedi. I just can't believe they're still doing it years later. I was right. I was in it with The Last Jedi. Like I needed to kind of vent and watch a bunch of negative videos about that in order to process and like just deal with the fact that I had just watched a Star Wars movie that I did not like for the first time. But it's been like what, 7 years
in
now?
your defense, like things were tamer back then when those initial Last Jedi review videos were coming out. Like all of that corner of YouTube has freaking like escalated. Like I even watched some of those videos just for another opinion because that's what it was back then. That used to just be getting a well-rounded opinion and listening to other people's thoughts. But now it's like I don't dare go near that side of YouTube or the fandom because it's like so much. It is escalated to a point of like it is not the way it was 7 years ago.
I mean, unless you really want to like take a deep dive back to the 80s or the 90s, which we wouldn't know because social media wasn't a thing then. We have no idea how fans really
Nor
were
were we until
back then.
We were.
If we were to time travel back and talk to some nerds in the 80s and see how divisive they are, we can kind of compare. But yeah, it is definitely one of those situations where, oh, we're numb to it now because it's just like, oh, it's another one of those things, another one of those divisive moments, and it's like, okay, I don't care. Like, I don't want to take a side. I just don't give a shit anymore. And I'm tired of regurgitating my view. I'm tired of hearing the views that make no sense. I'm tired of hearing the rage bait. I'm tired of hearing the outrage. I'm just done. And I know they need to do it to keep growing their channels and getting views and income, and they have employees now and they're big and whatever, but that can't be a great existence. Just always be angry all the time. But aside from all that,
that was so deep. Sorry, that was just so deep.
Aside from all that, I want to escape that. This is going to be the last thing that we discuss. But do you think, all of this aside, do you think Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy is a proper candidate for this franchise? And do you think she should be the director for the Rey film? And based off of what I've seen, I only see producer credits, really. So as far as directing credits go, she hasn't done anything. So that's where it's like...
She hasn't? I thought she did like documentaries and stuff. Or is that somebody else?
Oh, there they are. Sorry, I thought this was all it was.
Yeah,
Sorry.
there's Ms. Marvel.
Miss Marvel. Okay, so she did Miss Marvel.
Yeah, look at her. She's got a pretty good...
So these all like documentaries? Oh no, that's animated.
I don't think that is.
An animated documentary.
I don't think that is.
So mostly, it seems like mostly documentaries, so nothing like in the sci-fi realm.
That's fine though. I mean, that doesn't concern me because you had Tony Gilroy come in, who's got a background in definitely not sci-fi and not Star Wars, and delivers some of the best Star Wars we've seen in years. So if she can just do that, that'd be great. Look at that man.
Oh, he did Michael Clayton. Okay. And the Bourne series.
Yeah.
Oh, he did all. Okay. Well, I mean, he's got a track record. He's written good stories. It's much different going from documentaries and animation to full-fledged dramas or sci-fi dramas, right? I feel like there's a big leap there. So hopefully she's not writing it, right? She's just the director.
No, and I think if I'm mistaken, I heard, I could be spreading misinformation here, but I think people forget that she's not just, she's the director, so I guess she is at the helm of this ship, but there is a whole other crew on board and other producers and people in the writers' room and from Lucasfilm, and Kathleen Kennedy's there. Like, there's a bunch of other people. But I think I saw that one of the showrunners from Peaky Blinders is maybe involved in this show in a producing. That could be a fat lie. But regardless, there are other people. I'm trying to see on IMDb Pro if I can do some recon.
Yeah, Kat's
Either
got
way,
the cool
though.
one.
We get it, Kat. You're elite.
It should be called IMDb Elite.
IMDb
Steven Knight.
F.
So Steven Knight is the writer.
And Untitled
Peaky
Star
Blinders.
Wars.
Yes.
Yes.
he
All right.
did-
I'm not lying.
He did 36 episodes of Peaky Blinders.
The Peaky Blinders. Yeah,
Bulk of
like
the
that is.
series.
Which, in case y'all haven't seen it, that is actually some of the best television in the freaking world. So, like, that's what people forget. Unfortunately, of course, when there's a woman, in charge, and like, I think people forget. They're like, "Oh my god, it's just a woman," but it's like,
It's
there's
written
a
by
whole
a
other
man.
team.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is
Well,
the
like the thing is
sequel.
that the director doesn't make all the isn't doing everything, right? They're not
Right.
the editor. They're not. Well, it's like there are some cases where directors do go sit in on the edit, but they're
That's
not
true.
like the dictator of the film. Right?
Yes, and I think that's where the part of the fandom that became irate from these comments is forgetting that it's like she is not the only one there. There
Yeah.
are a plethora of other storytellers that are going to be there.
It's not a Rian Johnson situation where he wrote and directed. It's not like that. I feel comfortable blaming Rian Johnson for The Last Jedi because he wrote and directed and was so vocal about, like, I did this, I wanted to do this.
He was
J.J.
pretty
Abrams-
involved in post production too.
Yeah, he was, and then he was just vocal about, like, the direction he took the story and, like, putting his fingerprints all over Star Wars and, like, J.J. Abrams wanted to do this, but then we did a complete about face, and it's just like, if you're gonna strut around like that after you delivered the movie that you did, I'm gonna blame you. So, yeah.
Yeah, he pulled a lot of gotchas that didn't pay off very well. So,
yeah,
he deserves what he's. You reap what you sow.
George Lucas was, with the prequels.
He was also the creator.
Yeah, that's true. It's a little different for him, but with the prequels especially, he was definitely a dictator, and that did not work out as well as it probably could have if he had people there to kind of rein him in and tell him no to certain things. And I think George Lucas would even admit that today.
Yeah. So, okay. I guess cautiously optimistic then. I mean, I don't even know if I really want to see it, but it's happening.
What?
So.
I wouldn't go to the level of cautiously optimistic. I would say I'm very neutral on the Rey movie.
You're
I'm
gonna wait
so
for the trailer.
excited. I'm like,
Oh, you're excited?
Kat, you're a Disney shill. We all know that.
Well, Kat, you like everything, so it's okay.
Kat likes Eragon, the movie.
all my credibility is just gone. Listen, where can I watch that? Is it even
We go to
streaming?
Eragon. We go to Eragon IMDb, and we see 1 stars all the way down to Cat 5 star. Best movie I've ever seen in my life.
Can we do a not live reaction to Eragon the movie so Kat can
Rewatch?
update? Yeah, so she can update her viewpoint on that movie.
All right,
Yeah,
let's
we're gonna
actually do it.
Yeah, chat. In case you guys don't know, we're gonna do a Last Airbender
M.
podcast.
Night Shyamalan.
We're not gonna do it live. We're gonna pre-record it, and then we're gonna edit it down to the good parts because obviously we can't show the whole movie on YouTube, otherwise bad things will happen. So we're gonna edit out the good parts. I'm gonna get all of their reactions to the 2010 Shyamalan film because they haven't seen it. I've seen it so many times because it's just a hate watch thing and it's hilarious. So I can't wait to get their reactions on it. So we're gonna do that, and we're gonna do a couple other films in the future that I think I want to start posting on our second channel here. So for those of you on Kat's channel, be sure to come over and subscribe to ADHD. That's where this is also being multi-streamed from. Drop a like below, comment what if you guys enjoyed. If you guys
Like for the puppy.
like for the puppy. If you guys think there's other things that you want us to talk more about, if you guys want us to talk more Star Wars, you guys want to talk more broad let us know. We'd love to know so that we can kind of cater to the audience, right? Obviously, it's going to be tough to cater to everyone, but we want to make sure you guys are actually enjoying it. We talk about the things you guys want to watch, right? So with that, I want to say, may the force be with you guys, and we will see you guys next time.
Bye.